Hello everyone, Courtney Paulos here. Well, today let's talk about how to download and install a font into our Photoshop program. The steps in this video can be used when not only working with the program Photoshop, but also programs such as InDesign, Illustrator, Flash, and many more. Most often, as designers, a specific project calls for a specific font, and when you install fonts, you most likely will be installing them into your fonts folder. Luckily, there are so many free fonts on the web available for free, so much so that we don't have to search long for the font we're looking for. My three favorite free font websites are 1001freefonts.com, dafont.com, and 1001fonts.com. There are many more free font websites out there. Font sites that I haven't used but heard of through the grapevine that they may be worth checking out are fontspace.com and simplythebest.net/fonts. But with most things that are free and seem too good to be true, there are upsides and downsides and important rules you must know before downloading and installing fonts. Let's talk about these rules. Rule number 1, do not install too many fonts. So how many is too many? Well, as a general rule, anywhere over 500 or more is too many. Of course, this is just my personal opinion, and each computer is different. Well, even with myself being a designer, believe it or not, I myself have about 340 fonts installed in my fonts folder currently that allow me to do my job well. You can pretty much expect to run into pretty big computer problems if you have, 800 to 1,000 or more fonts in your fonts folder. But again, all computers are different, and there is no real magic number of how many fonts is too many. So what problems might you expect to run into if you have too many fonts? Well, you'll basically have a very slow computer that at times may behave erratically. And why would one want to have to scroll through 700 or even 500 fonts on their computer to search for the one they want? But let's say that your future career in design is one where you create print documents, or let's say that you've become a typographer who really relies on having a library of many different typefaces and fonts. In that case, that leads me to my second rule. Find a good font management software if you find that you have a lot of fonts. At the time of recording this video, I actually haven't yet needed to use a font management software, so I really can't personally recommend a specific font management software for you. But if you are one of those people who work with fonts on a regular basis, then choosing, comparing, and analyzing fonts is a serious business for you. Font management is not always as easy as a walk on the cake. Font management issues like installing and uninstalling fonts, handling missing fonts, taking care of font conflicts always keep graphic designers and typographers on their toes. Using font management software is the best way to ease the routine of installing and uninstalling fonts when you need them. And they also allow you to browse your collection of fonts whether or not they are installed. Many of the font management software out there has features such as font grouping that allow you to sort your fonts into similar groups, which makes finding the perfect font a little easier. So my best advice to you when trying to find out which font management software is right for you is just to simply search for that information on the web. Another rule that I have is never just start deleting fonts. You see, there are a lot of fonts that are essential to your operating system and specific software programs. So let's say you're like me and you don't have 500 fonts. There are ways to trim your font collection and manage your fonts. So if you would like to learn more about deleting fonts and managing your fonts folder, I've begun a forum titled Overcoming Font Overload. So that forum may be helpful for you. My fourth and final rule is be careful when browsing for fonts. Though I did recommend my three favorite font websites, I must say that from time to time you may come across a website that claims to allow you to download free fonts, but upon downloading them, you may inadvertently be downloading a virus, spyware, or any kind of malicious software. So my advice to you is just to be careful. One way to be careful is to make sure that you're using a font site that has been recommended by a friend or someone you personally know. Before we begin downloading and installing fonts, let's talk about a font versus a typeface. You see, a font designates a specific member of a type family, such as regular, boldface, or italic type. Take a look at the various fonts on the screen. Now, a typeface designates a consistent visual appearance or style, which can be a family or related set of fonts. So for examples, you see I have a typeface titled Times New Roman, a hobo typeface, as well as a typeface that's creatively titled Year Supply of Fairy Cakes. So for example, a given typeface, such as Arial, may include Roman, bold, and italic fonts. So often, when you're downloading and installing a font, you're really downloading and installing a family or related set of fonts. In other words, a typeface. Okay, so I'm currently at www.1001freefonts.com. So please go to this website. I'm on the home page, and let's select the link titled Western. So here's the list of fonts that you may download and then install on your computer for free. Okay, so I'm scrolling down here. Let's all scroll down to the font titled Regulators. If you do not see this font, you can always scroll back up and type the word Regulators in the search field at the top of the site. When you go to download, you have 3 buttons. You can choose to view the font in the custom preview, and you may also choose one of these 2 download features, either Windows Download or Mac Download. Because I'm using a Windows machine, I'm going to click on Windows Download. Go ahead and click on the correct download button for your computer. Now notice, what appears here happens to be a pop-up that is allowing you to save the file itself. As a general rule, you wouldn't want to save this file directly into your fonts folder. You would want to save this file on your desktop, and then extract it and copy it and then delete it. So those are the steps that I'm going to show you today. So make sure that if you have this option either to open or to save, you choose Save File. And then go to OK. Make sure to save this file to your desktop, so I'm going to choose my desktop icon here and then go to Save. Now let's access our desktop. Okay, so here's my desktop, and right here happens to be the file. Go ahead and click the file once. Don't double click, just click once. And notice it should be kind of highlighted here. And then right-click the file and choose Extract to Regulators. This will extract your files, extracting them into a folder titled Regulators. Okay, so here happens to be my folder titled Regulators. Again, it's located on the desktop. Go ahead and double-click on the actual folder. When you do, you notice that you have a few different files here. I'm going to expand my window a little bit here. So let's talk a little bit about font formats.